Hello, good evening, folks. Welcome to Earworms. We are having a little bit of a early slash on time start tonight. We typically start somewhere around 7:30, and even though we scheduled it for 7:15, because many of our family are also members of the Mr. Brown Alliance family. And this week I decided, all right, it's been 7:30 for so many weeks in a row. I scheduled it for 7:30 tonight. That's Eastern Time, U.S., half past the hour of whatever hour it is in your part of the world. And they finished up around quarter after tonight, so we're a little bit early. We're not going to drag our feet too much. Many people that they join us a little bit later will be able to hear us on the rewind and, you know, uh, check anything they missed. And I always leave these videos up. Well, Scott's here. That's all we need. So there we go. Our rock, Mr. Scott, is in the audience. I am going to take my face off screen now, go into stealth mode here, because tonight we are going to be looking at some sci-fi sounds from some classic sci-fi. The thumbnail shows the bridge of the Enterprise D with Tom Baker there and a Dalek. And we are going to kind of look at some sounds related to Star Trek and Doctor Who. Not a lot, because you know what? Over the upcoming future, there's going to be a lot of sound crafting as part of our series. I mean, we're going to do different things, you know, as we usually do each week. But one thing that's going to be included more is me showing some things as far as sound design is concerned, maybe music. And putting that in a little bit more than we have been. And there's definitely, like in Doctor Who as well as Star Trek, there is so much to talk about that we're going to have episodes in the future. And we're going to have some specials in the future where we do it at a more UK-friendly time slot. And that's when we'll do a little bit more deep dives into Doctor Who, the history of like people like Delia Derbyshire and Ron Grainer and other composers that contributed to the overall lineage of Doctor Who music, as well as some of the sound design for the shows. The BBC Radio Institute there. It's it's deep, and the same thing could be said with Star Trek, with the different iterations and how the sound designs changed for that. So these are things that will be more thoroughly explored in the future. Tonight we're going to just have a little fun with this. Next week we do have Rob Medor of PX3, drummer from PX3, as well as Mono Means One, and an excellent guest artist. It'll be a bit more difficult because of the Super Bowl, but I don't know. I haven't in recent years been checking out the Super Bowl, and I have a feeling there's other folks that are in that group too. But, you know, once again, all our episodes are kept up on the page. So without further ado, let me welcome my fellow panelists on here, and then we'll get into a little sound design, as well as some of the things we're doing musically. I want to show some of recent works by this gentleman, Mike Mountain Hawk Gourley, because he's been putting up some great stuff. And it's good to remind folks to keep in touch with him, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell, because he does have releases that are quite fine, and you don't want to miss them. So anyway, here we go. Stealth mode, and let's bring Mr. Mike on. Howdy there, Mike.
Good evening, Lawrence. How are you?
I'm all right. And so, yeah, you're going to get mixed in here with a little bit of some Doctor Who and Star Trek. I know you're a lover of Star Trek, but I never asked, have you ever checked out Doctor Who at all? Like either the classic Doctor
Yeah,
Who's from the 60s, 70s, and 80s?
I probably really need to revisit it. I didn't really care for it way back when, so maybe I need to give it another chance.
Maybe. I mean, it is one of those things where it was done on a budget, and even given the time period, it was a budget. But
Well, yeah,
people
but
that
I
love it.
mean, so was the Outer Limits and everything else, and I really dug that stuff. So I don't know, and
Yeah.
it's interesting because I typically, I'm a big Python fan. I like British stuff, so I need to revisit it sometime.
Okay. Well,
To be fair.
yeah. And the thing is about that early stuff, especially for electronic music and sound design using electronics, it was really pretty artistic. Let's just put it that way. And so for
Right.
me, hearing this stuff, and even mixed with chamber music at times, with the chamber ensemble, a few strings, a few woodwinds, lots of bass clarinet and stuff, it was like a pretty cool mix. So
Right.
let's bring on Liza Seigido from the Psyche Electroacoustic Opera Company. And here she is.
Hello. Sounds like
Hello.
you're going to get a lot of Dalek voices today.
Well, maybe not a lot. We're going to show one example that I made beforehand, and then we're going to build one together. Well, maybe not together. I mean, for our audience, we are going to be utilizing software tonight called VCV Rack, which is Euro Rack modeling software, but it is pretty accessible because it is a free download, and so many of the modules, either from the VCV brand, as it's called, which means the developer Andrew Belt, who started the project. Many of those are free, and so many of the community modules, because so much of it is open source, that there are other developers that are adding their modules. There's just tons. You would probably not get through them all in a lifetime. So basically, it's something where there is a paid version for VST and clap compatibility if you want to integrate it directly with your DAW. But if you want to use a MIDI bridge or something like that, you could really use it quite effectively without ever having to pay for it. And that's part of the mission, is to make some Euro Rack, which tends to be expensive in analog physical hardware format, pretty expensive. This makes it more affordable, if not free, for people. So it's something where if you like some of the sounds you hear, you will be able to make them yourself. I do have some tutorials on my channel for that. And so I was thinking I might even just show those a little bit here so people can see where they're at. And then we'll get into some of the sound making.
Well, the only reason I mentioned Daleks right away is because the opening that you play for me was inspired by Daleks. I use ring modulation on my voice to get that Dalek sound, and I'm probably sure you're going to take us through VCV Rack and show us how to do the same thing in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. How up? Oh, so yeah, I guess from Psyche, I mean, the cyborgs are dancing. You did use ring modulation there.
Yes.
Yes. Alrighty. So one of the things you might want to check out, folks, on Psyche Opera, that's the username, at Psyche Opera. I'm scrolling down here because here on my channel, I mean, who knows in the future if people see this in the future, the layout may change a little bit, but I'm not getting rid of any playlists. You could always go to the playlist tab and find this playlist, but learn synthesis with VCV Rack. Series 1 is where you start, and that'll actually show you how to download and set up the software. It's available for Mac, Windows, and Linux. Tonight I'm using Linux Mint 22, but it looks the same for these 3 platforms, just the installation's a little bit different. There's good instructions on how to do it. It was pretty easy. I remember from my Windows days, it was easy, and all the students I had that used Mac had no problem installing it. And you know, it's this video would take you through that process, and then I have tons of other playlists here for you to go through over time if you want to get into it musically as well as sound design. I use it to make sound experiences for relaxation, meditation, and sleep. Those sound experiences are here in a playlist, and then I have a playlist here for the sound design. It's basically me showing how I made these sounds and put them together. So those are things to check out. And then here I also have a series on some of the patches I'm making for my music. In the future, things will expand. After I pass 1,000 here, I am going to reignite another channel I had called LWM Music, which I'm now going to be naming the Wayfarer Project Learning, where I'm going to put courses there. They'll still be learning on this channel, but that channel will be for people who just want to do the courses but aren't interested in my music or my meditations and stuff. And then this channel, the Wayfarer Project, will basically be just about everything, you know. But, you know, it'll be growing in the future. And this week I am definitely going to be doing more. Now that I've worked with VCV Rack this week, I'm really hungry to keep doing it. So anyway, I might be going on a little too much here. So let's go.
Man.
Let's
Promote yourself.
yeah, let's go over to the software and see what's going on there. So I am going to switch on over. I know this will probably appear a little bit small for you guys, but I'll do my best to zoom in to show what we're doing. But I'm going to call up VCV Rack here, and I assume you guys are seeing it right now, right?
Yeah.
All right. So what we have here are
Nice.
4 modules. I'm not going to turn this into just totally well, I got to walk the line here between this becoming a lesson and also just being, you know, some sound demonstrations, but I think a little behind the scenes would be cool. Now, this is something where I did a Dalek voice. It's a little different. Over the years in Doctor Who, the sound has changed a bit. It's kept a lot of the same characteristics, and I'll show you what those characteristics are and how they're achieved. But you know, definitely, I was noticing, especially in the new Who, you know, like in Matt Smith era, there was definitely a change in timbre in the voices a bit, with a little bit more deeper frequencies than that were heard before. But anyway, here's something that I made this week, and then we're going to kind of pop this together ourselves so you could see the elements involved and maybe tweak the sound for your own desires. So here we go.
You are an enemy of the Dalek race. You shall be exterminated. You are an enemy of the Dalek race. You shall be exterminated.
All right, what I'm using here is I recorded into this module. This is just a recording and playback module because I didn't want to do it on my voice real time here because I want to be able to talk.
Ooh, the Emperor's here.
Emperor J. Goodwin. Is he in the studio?
He is in the chat, but maybe
okay.
he would like to be in the studio. I don't know.
Well, it's all still set up. If he wants to come on, he's welcome to. All he's got to do is use the same old link.
Hail the Emperor.
Yes, Emperor, please come in. Come
Because
in.
all I did in the scenes was just hide him. He's still there, so I can unhide him.
Yes, we shall
Unhide.
unhide you. Come in.
You'll have to let me know, Liza, if he says he wants to come on or just wants to hang out.
Okay, I'll let you know.
All right. So anyway, here in the playback module, you can record in and playback. That's all that's happening here. And its audio output is, as you see, going through a red cable right here to an input on this filter. This filter, now you see it's vibrating here because I actually have it being adjusted on the fly. But basically, this is a low pass, meaning these frequencies are passed down here where my mouse is pointing. And then here, there's a little bit of an emphasis, a resonance on the frequency, and then it slopes off here. But there's a lot of jagged edges to this filter, which gives the sound a little more distortion. And basically, it's a low pass taking out some highs, and it's fluctuating with an emphasis here. And I felt this emphasis was a pretty good region to emphasize. It sounds really computery and a little bit nasty. And then that goes into this amplifier here, which basically takes the amplitude of the sound coming from here and it just basically modulates it. This is called ring modulation. If it's slow enough, something we call tremolo, it kind of sounds like this, like putting your hand in front of your mouth and you hear the sound fluctuating in its level, like the volume of the sound fluctuates. But if you do it fast enough at higher rates, it starts creating some extra frequencies in the sound called sidebands, which basically makes the sound more complex. And that's an essential part of the Dalek voice. That's been used ever since the beginning. And then I just compress that signal here and it comes out here. But I think to do this best, it might be nice to just kind of make it ourselves real quick here. And in order to do that, I am going to open up a patch that I have here where we have, do I want to save this? Well, no. Okay, there we go. I have a patch right here, which is basically a mixer. It has an effects send section here that goes where I could put reverb on. Here's the audio out after a compressor at the end. And I have an EQ and compressor here that basically work in conjunction with the mixer. I don't need to go into too much depth here because all that you would learn in my series as that goes forward. But I just wanted to at least give you a lay of the land. But let's say we want to take a voice here. We want to record my voice so that we can hear it. So I'm going to say recorder and use this one right here. Basically, these are the wide set of modules, and I can search for them by just using the search box here. And if I search for recorder, this is the one I like to use. Let's see, who's it by? The brand is called Sicko Zell. And it's one of the free brands. These modules are free, so once again, free download at VCVRack.com when you install the overall software. And basically, we can hear it right now just to hear the unaffected voice. I like to use red for audio, so I'm plugging this in here. And let's record a little bit of something and say, well, first of all, to record, I need to take audio input from the audio module here. This basically takes sound in from my interface. If you're using a built-in interface on your computer, that'll work fine. An external interface is better, but you can use built-in interface. Let me make sure it is set up for the right input. It says M series. And it's on Pulsed Audio, M series, just fine. I'm not going into too much detail here because that would be in my series where you could go through it gradually. I want to get to making the sound as soon as possible. All right, so here we go. I am talking now. This is not how a Dalek would talk, but I can do that later. So I click the record button again. It is now recorded. Let's press play and see if we hear it. So there we go. I recorded my voice. I'm going to initialize this, right click initialize, which means I'm going to wipe out what I did. And now I'm going to do something in more of like a Dalek style voice. If you want to do this properly, you got to kind of get as close with your own voice to a Dalek. And so I'm going to do that. Let's see. You are an enemy of the Dalek race, and you shall be exterminated. You got to have the cadence, and the style down a little bit there, just to help things along the way. Let's hear this and see how it sounds.
We can't hear anything.
Oh, you can't?
Nope. And Emperor Goodwin predicted that.
Okay, let me check again here. Yeah, I guess it's when I closed the other patch. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. It's Murphy's Law.
Yep.
Interestingly enough, Murphy was an aerospace engineer. And in those days, a lot of things would go wrong. And so it's probably good that he had that spirit so that basically he could do problem checking on just about everything he did, because he was like, no, what is any possible way this could break or not work? And he basically went through it. Yeah, right now in my software, I have so many instances of the browser here. And I'm trying to see where VCV Rack's output is. Hold on. This is what I'm going to do. I think this is the one where I'll build things from scratch just as an example, but the rest I'll just use the examples that I already have. All right, please zoom out. There we go. And I need to be on Pulse Audio. At the top, it allows you to set what you're using as far as the protocol for your interface or sound engine on your computer. Be Core Audio for Mac, and for Windows, it might either be ASIO or it might be MME. Okay, now I'm seeing my VCV Rack thing here. That's what I needed to do, apparently. And so I'm going to hook it up again. The whole thing is EVMux, and most streaming platforms don't let you basically route from software on your computer. It needs to be from the browser. So let's try this. Liza, do you hear this? You are an enemy of the...
Was that a recording?
Yes.
Yes, I heard that.
Okay.
Well, I heard it.
Yay!
It's there. Looks
It's
like
there.
Yeah, what the heck? We're just going to mess it up even more.
Just mess it up. Let's do it.
All right, so let's put in the ability to do a little bit of ring modulation first, since this was originally the main process done. So I'm going to put in a VCO. If an LFO, there's two different types of oscillators that could possibly use. An LFO may be too slow, low frequency oscillator. It may not oscillate at a fast enough speed to do this, because ring modulation is oscillation at faster speeds. But what I need to do is basically take the sound. I'm going to leave it going into the mixer, but I'm going to take an output from this oscillator that's going to take that sine wave shape at the top, which is right here, this sine wave shape. It's going to take that, and here, since I put it in the volume input, you won't see the volume go up and down here, but it technically is. It's basically going to oscillate the volume as it goes on. Now, just so I don't have to rewind all the time, I'm going to put this on loop, and I am going to press play. Where are you at? Play button. Keep losing you.
You are an enemy of the Dalek race, and you shall be exterminated.
Can you turn it up a little bit?
You
I'm going to.
enemy of the Dalek
Got to use the compressor for that.
shall be
This, I have set to channel 1 on the mixer where the voice is coming in,
Dalek race
so I can do that.
be
Lower the threshold a bit.
terminated. You are an enemy of the Dalek race.
And then turn up its output.
Be exterminated. You are an enemy of the Dalek race, and you
Now,
shall
if you
be
play with the frequency on this,
exterminated. You are an enemy of the Dalek race, and you shall be exterminated.
here you get,
Are an enemy of the Dalek race, and you shall be exterminated.
now,
You are
I'm
an
gonna stop
enemy
it.
of the Dalek race.
Yeah, I'm getting scared.
yeah. So, I mean, that's a main part of the sound. And actually, what you can see over here, this is the EQ showing you the frequency spectrum. If we press play,
You are an enemy of the Dalek
look at
race,
where
and you shall be
all these spikes are.
exterminated.
There's big spikes up here.
You
This is
are
where
an
my
enemy
voice is a
of
little
the
to the left,
Dalek
but up here in the
race,
higher frequencies,
and you
you're
shall
seeing a
be
lot of spikes. Those spikes
exterminated.
are basically
You
from
are an
the
enemy.
sidebands being created. Basically, when you're oscillating the amplitude that fast, it creates extra frequencies, so it makes a richer spectrum. And plus, since the volume is being fluctuated so much, it just sounds so much like it has more ridges to it. And the slower it is, the more you can hear those individual ridges. So you can kind of like find your balance as to where you want it. One thing I should also do here is maybe a little equalization, which I can do right here with this equalizer. And what I can do is maybe turn this down, get rid of some of the lower frequencies. And now I'm going to press play and adjust this on the fly.
You are an enemy of the Dalek
That gets
race,
rid of some of the
and
lower
you
frequencies.
Shall be exterminated. You are an enemy of
You see
the
how more
Dalek
low frequencies
race,
come in?
and you shall be exterminated.
And now I'm taking them out.
You are an enemy
Now, I might
of
also
the
want to
Dalek
take out some of the
race,
higher
and you
frequencies,
shall
which
be
gives it more of like an intercom type
exterminated.
sound.
You
So let me
are
do
an
that.
enemy of the Dalek race.
Maybe that's
and
too
You
much.
shall be exterminated. You are an enemy of the Dalek race, and you shall be exterminated.
All right, now
You are an enemy
that's sounding
of the
pretty close to maybe some of the original Dalek sounds and stuff, but over the years they played with it a bit, I'm sure, because I could hear some changes. Let's just add a filter. And this will be the last thing we'll add for now, just to show the basics. Now, I added a filter from a brand called Surge XT from the wider community at VCV Rack. I like this filter because it has a nice display here for the shape of the filter you're using. It allows inputs to have you change things about it. And just overall, it has a lot of functionality. What I'm going to do is take this audio output that's going from my sound recorder to the first channel. I'm going to put it into the left channel, since this is a mono signal, of the filter, and take the output from the filter and put it back into the input here. So now this filter is shaping the frequency of the sound. This is kind of like the shape I had before, but I might just go through some different options here. since I'm already here shaping its spectrum and just keeping the mid-range in, I might want to find something that allows me to play with this area a little bit. And so let's do this. I'm going to press play and then go through the list. All right, that makes it sound real too dull.
You are an enemy of the Dalek race, and you shall be exterminated. You are an enemy of the Dalek race, and you shall be exterminated. You are an enemy of the Dalek race, and you shall be exterminated. You are an
I'm moving
enemy
this
of
just to
the
see what I
Dalek
could get out of
race,
it.
and you shall be exterminated. You are an enemy of
I
the
kind of like
Dalek
that there.
race, and you
But what
shall
I'm going to
be
do with this is have it oscillate. Just as this shape here is oscillating the amplitude of the sound, I'm going to have it oscillate here, the shape of this. So meaning the cutoff frequency or the center frequency in the case of this filter, basically where is this located? And I want to basically have it change. And so what I can do is set up a little modulation here by hooking this up to this same output here. So now this waveform and its rate of vibration here is going to be vibrating this left and right, basically the filter and what ranges of frequencies it's affecting. I can hit this mod button here to say, okay, this input, what is it going to modulate and how much? And so now I'm setting this blue line that shows the range of left and right motion that I can do at the frequency. And let's hear how that sounds.
You are an enemy of the Dalek race, and you shall be exterminated. You are an enemy of the Dalek race, and you shall be exterminated.
I kind of like it there.
You are an enemy of the Dalek race, and you shall be.
So anyway, there's a lot to play with. I don't want to take up too much time so we could get on to a few more sounds. And also a little bit of some of what Mike Gourley's been doing. So Mike, are you ready to hear a little bit of your music?
Sure, why not?
Just a change of pace.
There you go.
Now, this is a little experiment for us tonight, doing things this way. Hopefully people are enjoying it. We'll check in with the chat to see how people are feeling about it. So, Mike, do you have any requests as far as what you would like to share with the folks first?
No, I thought you had them set up.
I'm not hearing. Oh, Mike, I guess, yeah, I was just clicking on something and I think it muted you temporarily.
Oh,
At least for me. I think the audience heard you, but for me, I didn't hear you.
okay.
So,
Yeah, bring on the Gourley. Yeah, thank you.
I meant,
Did you not have a couple already set up?
yeah, you sent
Okay,
me
I'm
to.
good with that.
Okay. Let me, I'm trying to get back to my browser. I was sharing VCV Rack and now I'm getting back to the browser.
There you go.
Switching modes
can do
sometimes
it,
can be a
Ron.
little bit rough. Okay, so how about we listen to, this is one I heard last week and it's really nice. The Quiet Before the Storm.
Ah, yes.
And I was feeling things like, yeah, this reminds me of when we get a forecast for a hurricane and it's like you try to do all the prep you can, but, you know, your nerves are still tied in a knot inside your stomach. So here we go. Mike Gourley, Calm Before the Storm, or Quiet Before the Storm.
Quiet
Excuse
before
me.
the storm.
right, Mike.
Just a little.
You're gonna
short
have some
Wow.
explaining to do.
Yes.
explaining.
Let's see if
Oh
I can
my
put you on.
God!
Yeah, and now can I emphasize you?
All right.
Well,
Well,
that's good enough.
after the
Mike,
mad,
you're muted.
then you muted me.
Mike, we
Hello,
can't hear
hello.
you.
Okay.
Now
Oh
it looks
no,
like I'm
maybe the
moving.
same thing that happened to me is happening to Mike.
Mike is not muted.
Yeah,
Emperor
Emperor
Goodwin.
Goodwin, I can't hear Mike either.
Yeah, neither do I, and that's typically not the case. Let me go to the other scene, see if we hear him.
Yeah.
Was it the scene? Mike?
Hello, hello.
There you are. There
Yay,
you are.
we got you back.
All right. Well, the chat said they were hearing me. Now I can't talk. Blah 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 blah. All right. So anyway, so after the very electronic, chaotic inception that I did, I guess this is a nice return to some mellow, meditative type stuff, huh?
Well,
Yeah.
it makes me nervous throughout. I don't know how low that is. I mean, it is definitely more of an ambient nature and everything, but you do convey the sense of a storm coming or something about to happen. You know, that's could
That's
be.
interesting. Yeah. Well, it was recorded on the last day of the year. I don't know if that means anything, but nonetheless, to answer some of the questions that I saw popping up in the chat there, as far as doing it live, it would be very difficult for me to play all them instruments. I would have to have a backing recording and do the handpan, I guess, because it's a handpan that is the scale of D Kurdish, which has that kind of dark ambient sound in and of itself. Of course, there's the synth and the drone and all that stuff. Other than that, there are no bells. What I used was there are a singing bowl and a crystal singing bowl, and I have a couple of
Wow.
plugins that I highly recommend for anyone who's into plugins from Eventide. I think Eventide makes probably the best harmonizer plugins out there. I got a couple. One's Quadravox, the other's oh God, I can't think of the name of it. One does 8 voices, the other does 4. They're expensive as hell, but you got to watch out for a good sale. But what that does is those what almost sound like bells is just hitting a singing bowl, and it just multiplies all these different voices and harmonizes it, and gives it
Wow.
that kind of sound like chimes and bells and all that stuff. Yeah, I really love it. I think it's
That's
cool as
super
hell.
cool.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
there's
they
good
sounded
technology.
really like chimes. So
Yeah, yeah.
I could
Eventide
have
makes
sworn they
really
were
good
recording.
plugins.
Yeah.
But you got to, yeah, unless you're rich, you want to get them on sale. But at any rate, but
So anyway, folks, a link in the description for his YouTube channel, Mike Mountain Hawk Gourley, and he has things arranged in playlists. So
yeah,
they could be by instrument, sometimes by genres or style.
yeah.
Did you?
I think I did start a meditation one or something to that effect.
Okay, maybe for
So
those that want to meditate on something,
or
this will be.
relaxation, whatever.
Well, yeah, this might help you fight against anxiety. Yeah. That
Well,
low drone does make you feel like you're about to encounter something a bit challenging. That's all I would say.
well,
But
I know some of
no,
my
no, it's
videos
great music.
were longer, so here was your long one.
Okay. Well, let's move along. We're going to hear
Yes.
more Mike in a bit. Let's check out here. I already called up the next patch, and we're going to do a real quick sound check. I already did do the patching to make sure the sound comes through, but you never really know until you try it. So, Liza, do you hear this?
Yes, Captain. I can hear that.
Okay. I am going to encourage our audience, if you are listening on some form of cell phone, it's probably not going to do this justice. There's some lower frequencies in this that would definitely come through better on headphones, or if you got a good set of speakers, then you're probably all right. But anyway, this is bridge. These are bridge sounds, or at least I designed them to be. I'm going to mute some of these channels and talk about them one at a time. I'm not going to build these from scratch because that just might get a little too labor intensive. Let me mute you, and you. All right, first of all, on this channel, what I have are some low frequency wash sounds. Over here, this thin strip is different types of noises from the VCV brand itself, and I use the type of noise called black noise. It is a type of noise generation, and it's going through a filter here. You can see the filter shape. It's passing low frequencies, emphasizing a point right about here. You'll be able to hear it change as I raise and lower it. Let me put it back where I had it. Somewhere like there. And the same idea here, except I have them on like slightly different frequencies, which allows me to send the output of both of these modules to the left and right inputs on this channel. These channels can be stereo or mono, depending on whether they're both connected or not. And since it's slightly different on the left and right, it sounds more expanded. If we just had one of them, it would sound more mono, like that. But here it sounds a little more expanded when you have them both in. And so, yeah, that's basically the idea. Now, I'm hearing this and I'm thinking maybe a little lower in frequency would be better.
There it is. There it is.
There we go. This might be too low for some speakers to carry if you're using some built-in speakers on a computer or cell phone. And then I have some triangle waves here. Triangle waves, basically we're going to hear the tones. Let me mute the low wash so we hear them on their own. There's one of them. Basically a triangle wave playing a tone, and it's basically at a frequency that sounds roughly like the tone you're hearing. I can't sing it, it's too high for me, but I use a low frequency oscillator here. This is a set of 4, but the first 2 are the ones being used. And I made the shape what's called a sample and hold. Basically, it goes to different values of amplitude and holds them there for a bit. At a rate that I set here, like this is set to 4.72 hertz. That would be too fast. This would be slower than I had it. And so sometimes you hear increases in amplitude and decreases. Sometimes you don't hear the sound at all. But basically, I like that because it's kind of like makes them intermittent. But I need to turn it a little faster or else it may hold on the times that you don't hear it a little too long. And then there's a second one that does the same thing. That's what this is. It's a second triangle, and it has an LFO right here that governs it. So now we're going to hear both of them. And I panned them a little left, a little right, So you hear from different sides. This one, the one on the right, is a little higher frequency though. I think I'm going to go back to the rate that I had originally, like 4.7 something. Now, the frequency that you use, I guess, is really up to you. Oops. But it's best to keep them on frequencies that sound good together. So when they overlap, it doesn't create too much tension unless you want it to be an alarm.
Now we're in sick bay, right?
I didn't try to model what I heard from any of the bridges exactly. I just tried to derive inspiration from them because otherwise it takes hours of tweaking to match it up. But yeah, sick bay, you could definitely use this for like the, you would probably want it to be more regular if it was a heart monitor. But I should turn these up now that they're a lower frequency. Our ears don't hear them as prominently.
Yep, the pesky Fletcher Munson stuff.
But the thing is then, if you put the engines back in, the warp drive engines, you're going to hear them disappear probably. Nope, I hear. I don't know. I like them at the higher frequency. That was my cell phone. Yeah, if you match frequencies, you can layer them together. And of course, I have like 4 LFOs here. I could add 2 more. And in fact, that might be something that gives us a little something more to do, and it's actually quick and easy. Here, let me do this. I'm going to move this over. And I could easily just select these 2, copy, paste, and before I hook them up, I want to hook up the LFOs. Because if I hook them up now, you're just going to hear these tones sustaining. So I am going to, that might be a little too regular, but let's try it out. Let's see here. Do like a pulse wave. All right,
Maybe
so
it's too regular for the Enterprise bridge.
well, let's try it. You don't know until you try it. Yeah, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put these 2 as the left and right channels.
Okay, now we're getting the original bridge.
Oh, that sound? That is something that is actually on this channel. I don't know why we heard it there. Oh, yeah, I know what I did. I forgot that I had them there. Yes, that is this guy here. I did set this up, but I wanted to trigger it with a keyboard. This shape right here is what you're hearing, the kind of like the fluttering sound, like the ping from the original Enterprise. I originally wanted to trigger it with a keyboard, but by hooking these up, we're now hearing it being generated by these guys. But it's panned a little bit all the way right. Let's see here.
I just noticed we have a Scotty and a Captain Archer in the chat.
Really?
No, Scott Hobbit and Mr. Archer.
Okay, cool. Archer Collins.
Yes.
Welcome back, Archer. All right, so there we go. We kind of have our mix between Enterprise D and the original. I do have a video clip that I think some of our enthusiasts might like to hear. But before I get to it, what I would like to do, please, I would like to, in my relaxation, meditation, and sleep series that I pointed out earlier, I want to make some bridge sounds because kind of listening to this really helped me relax. And maybe some bridge sounds and put in a little low amplitude binaural beating, just as an ambient relaxation technique. But one thing I also want to show you guys, I found this on YouTube, and it's kind of cool. We're going to switch on over to our video mode here.
Oh, you didn't make a red alert?
And what we're going to need to do is turn down our bridge. But I have a video here of the original Enterprise bridge sounds. It's just a still image of the bridge itself, but it has all those sounds. The thing is, I don't know if you remember it, but it was pretty intense. So let me go here, media, open up old Star Trek TOS bridge. Here we go. And let's play it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, a little bit intense.
Well, it didn't seem intense when
Yeah.
you were watching the series. So, you kind of
Now, I'm sorry,
don't know
Liza.
about it.
When I go into video mode, it mutes you for me. But what did you just say?
Oh, you weren't hearing me at all.
Oh,
I've
no,
never-
the audience was, but not me. Remember, Evie Muck. Sometimes when I switch to a different scene, I don't hear you. And
Oh, no worries. It's just
But
commentary.
I hear you. That's what's
Yeah.
important.
That's what's important. Mike can hear me, and that's all that matters.
okay, so
Well, but-
yeah, it doesn't let me respond too well. That's the only problem. All right, I want to play a little something else here. I found. Now I was told by somebody named Smilex who lives in the UK that what I'm about to play is something called the ray gun bird, and it's from Australia. I don't know. The oldest gamer, who is a bird watcher and stuff, did not argue with it, so I guess it is. All righty.
I'd say he's giving our northern mockingbird a run for its money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty intense.
That is wild, man. Australia is where this bird's from.
Well, according to some of my buddies in the earworms chat on X, but I know the oldest gamer is a bird, watcher and enthusiast. So if he didn't argue against it, I guess at least a common name for this is the ray gun bird. But
Bird.
Australia, but I'm sure it could be in many zoos around the world.
Isn't
But
she gorgeous?
yes, indeed. I've done some bird call imitations with synthesis, and in the Wayfarer VCV Rack series, I do have an example of some there. It wasn't specific bird types, but I was making some pretty nice bird sounds, because that's also a great ambience to have, like distant forest sounds.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's time for a little bit more Mike. Why not? And let's see here, media, and all right, Mike.
Well, I don't see anybody arguing in the chat about it, so I guess go ahead.
Well, would you prefer to hear a morning ritual first or underwater?
Ooh, either one, man.
Well, you're helpful. All right, we'll go underwater first.
Let's go underwater.
I love the decisiveness here.
There will be whales here, Captain.
Alrighty there. So, sir, you have anything you want to say about the production of that piece?
It was hard playing that flute underwater, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I promised your wife, yes, that is a flute wizard flute.
Awesome.
Ah, Yeah, a few weeks back, folks, we did have the flute wizard on, a gentleman by the name of Kyle Neidig, and it's a
Yeah.
great interview. He makes custom flutes for people, and this was
Spectacular.
one of them. I like how you got the silhouette against. I don't know. It looks like one of the planets from Star Trek in the background there.
Black light backdrop.
Awesome.
Yeah, with a black light. Imagine
All
that.
right. Yeah,
It's
that's
really
cool.
cool.
And I guess you got some underwater ocean footage there.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So anyway,
Something a little different. Anyway, I don't like to, have the same psychedelic backgrounds all the time.
oh no, yeah, no, this is definitely very beautiful, and yeah, this is definitely meditative, and it should definitely be on that list, that playlist.
Probably is.
Okay, folks. Well,
Wrong suggestion that I make a playlist. I did just for you, Lawrence.
well, there's got to be people out there that say, well, I just want to have some relaxing music, and they'd like to press play and have it just keep going and not be,
Oh,
you know,
absolutely.
having to
absolutely.
select
and
things.
and while I joke around, you have been massively helpful in the construction of my YouTube channel. I had not even really given much thought to my homepage until you said something about it. That's about how techie I am.
Well,
I get techie with the music, not so much mildly techie.
You're doing great, Mike.
Yeah.
yes, you are.
Yes,
And a lot of
absolutely.
it is just kind of getting some notice, which is harder on music channels unless you have some tutorials like I have, because a lot of times people aren't searching for new artists, and in that case, it's also because they don't know the names already to search for them. And when you're an artist on YouTube, it might be song titles or your name that get found. And so when people are looking for music, they're usually looking for things they already know, because it's hard to just
Yeah, tutorials are a good way
to
to
come
get.
up with a search term for anything that's not, already know.
Right, right. Yeah, I've thought about doing some different stuff, like maybe, like pedal reviews, stuff like that. But God, there's already so many out there, you know.
It doesn't matter, Mike. You'll have your own take on it and your own teaching style, your own perspective. You should definitely do that. I would be interested in even just guitar lessons or basic sitar lessons. You know, that would be cool.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Food for thought.
And
Yeah.
another thing about that is if you're doing reviews of some gear, like anytime I'm interested in buying something, excuse me, excuse me, sorry, I didn't get to the cough button in time there. But I always look for reviews,
Thank you.
multiple ones, and definitely not ones that come up high in the rankings, because they're usually sponsored.
Right.
So I would encourage you to give it a shot.
Well, nobody else is doing it according to Emperor Goodwin, so I guess I gotta. Thank
There you
sir.
go.
Do
He
it.
is the Emperor.
He is the emperor.
All right, can you guys say a few more things? Because I need to drink a little more water here, in my throat.
Oh,
Things.
yep, yep.
I've
Scott.
things, and I'll say more things. There's
Yes.
lots of things. I'm surrounded by things.
Okay, I think I better get back to working order here. All right, so I have the next one ready to go,
Take it
and
over. Go away.
all right,
Oh, I
so
don't have that VCV Rack voice. Sorry. You know, speaking of VCV Rack, since I got a new computer recently, I had to, of course, put it back on. So, of course, I want to open it up and try it out because honestly, I haven't used it in a while. So, much to my surprise, I actually got some things loaded in and actually got sound. And that's all thanks to you, Lawrence. I
Okay,
actually remembered some shit from your videos.
that's
So,
good.
yeah, I mean, seriously though, and that's how, that's of course how we met through your lessons. So it's a very cool program. I'm nowhere near uh, your status, but
Oh
anyway,
well, I this week I had to remember some things because you spend some time away from it and come back to it, and you're just hooking some things up wrong to the wrong places. It's like, oh, of course, why did I do that?
yeah,
You know,
that's why I was happy to get some sound. But it also has, because you do use a lot of plugins and stuff. Knowing some of these terms, is it's
Yeah.
been very, very helpful, in my
well, that's
own.
why I want to teach like it as synthesis because software changes, and but the word LFO means the same thing from one piece of software to another. Now,
Yeah.
sometimes they'll say the word oscillator, sometimes they'll say VCO, but if you know both terms, you know what they're referring to.
Right.
An
Yeah.
amplifier or a VCA, same thing. That's why people need to learn the vocabulary. And even in the digital world, it's using the same vocabulary that was used in the analog gear.
Right. Right.
So, what do we have here?
Oh,
Well, here,
moving knobs.
yeah, I miss that too. In fact, we are going to do some episodes with. Hold on here. My cable got wrapped around something. We are going to do some episodes with my analog synths. I'm just going to need to make sure I get that side of the room camera friendly so that I can show what I'm doing and capture the face of the synthesizer just right so people can see what knob I'm using and things like that.
Well,
All
I
right.
tell you what, Lawrence, I got a suggestion
Yep.
because one of the things that drives me nuts about a lot of YouTube videos, especially when it comes to like MIDI and these synthesizers and hooking things up, usually the manuals are crap and so are the videos. They'll say a beginner's guide, but yet they start by playing and it's like I want to know how to hook the damn thing up. And seriously, I'm serious. So, if you want to do some beginner tutorials, boy, that'd be really good. Because I understand what MIDI is, but man, sometimes I don't get how to hook it up properly. And I'll fight with it and fight with it. And, after an hour, I finally get it hooked up right.
Yeah, I'm also thinking in the future of, offering, some lessons. Again, I mean, I've been teaching lessons on and off. I think I probably should do those again because sometimes you got to do it one-on-one with somebody because there's a number of different things. Like if I do a tutorial on like the controller that I have, it's going to be different than a controller someone else has. I could teach some foundational things like what continuous controllers are, what pitch bend is and how that works, what node on, node off are, things like that. That doesn't change, but the actual hardware and the way it would like to be addressed does change. Like if you, for example, a lot of people are getting keyboards and controllers now that basically map to the software almost automatically, and for one piece of equipment to another, similar buttons will do different things in that software, and so that's one thing I've been kind of coping with too. Good thing with VCV Rack is you could just program things. For example, this is a sonic screwdriver or a cricket that won't shut up. I have made cricket sounds too. I do have some tutorials on that.
Yeah, I've heard those.
Yeah, now here, like this is the MIDI input. The first thing you set is what MIDI device you want to use, and I'm using this Novation Launch Key. They do have two inputs for it. One is for the DAW and one is just MIDI. The DAW one would be some DAW controls and transport controls and things where you hit certain buttons. You would want both of those if you were using a digital audio workstation software. But if it's just VCV Rack, all you need are the MIDI signals. So here I have that selected. And then what channel it comes in on. I have all channels, so it's listening to all 16 channels. So that way, no matter what channel the keyboard's set to, it's going to come in. And here I can easily say for this is MIDI to gate, basically like an on-off switch. I could say this is the key I want to press for this sound, so I'm going to click it, then hit the key, and it reads it automatically. It knows it's C2. And so when I hit that key, whatever comes out here is going to play that sound. It's just an on-off switch.
Just a quick correction here. You're coming in very hot all of a sudden, and you're distorting.
On the voice?
Yes.
Yeah, the chat is noticing it. I thought it was
The
just
chat is noticing. Sorry. Did
Oh.
you get closer
No,
to the mic?
I did not.
Ew.
And it only just happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was all of a sudden.
Recent, yeah.
Okay. Well, that should be the same. Oh, boy. Easy mucks, man.
Yeah.
I literally do nothing, and all of a sudden there's a change. How does that sound?
It's still a little bit distorted.
Oh, man. I don't know what I'm going to do with this software.
Grr. Emperor Goodwin is asking, is his voice going through VCV?
No, it shouldn't be at all. Yeah, the audio inputs are here. This is a sonic screwdriver sound, and here's the inputs. They're hooked up to nothing.
Okay,
sound a
better
little
now. Better now.
Okay.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
better now.
Well, last week I was really quiet, and then I looked. This is something that happened to Jay as well. Somehow Evie Bucks had changed my sound settings in my OS, and that, it lowered it to 70% of what it was. It's like, and it does that without you knowing, and so it's ridiculous. So anyway, I don't know. We have sonic screwdriver here. What makes it what it is pretty much the same thing we had before, amplitude modulation. The only thing is I have three different sounds going in, three different wave shapes. A sine wave, or actually is it two? Yeah, two. A sine wave and a square wave. And then this sine wave is our LFO, which is controlling the amplitude. That's giving you the ridges. Like here, it'll sound a little faster, slower. That's about the speed right there. And then you could change the tone of the screwdriver by
What's going on? Can't hear anything.
You don't hear anything?
No.
I hear it. It's very low, though.
Oh my God, it's like blasting me. Oh my goodness. This stuff, I'm going to have to turn off I think in Eevee Mux, what do you call it? The
Yeah,
auto
chat
gain.
is saying they can't hear it either.
Yep. Yeah, this is. Yeah, I'm going to my control software where I can set what is happening here, and oh, I know. Hold on. I think if I connect this, all right, let's try that. Do you hear that?
Yes, finally good.
Now that's after I was
Yeah.
playing with the tones.
Use your
Let's put
phone.
it back to where I had it.
Nice.
Now, the thing about a sonic screwdriver is it's usually moving. Matt Smith used to wave it like a wand and stuff, so that's where this filter comes in, just like the filters I used before. So it can make it sound like it's being moved around, like that. Maybe if I made this a little smoother, that one's kind of a rough. There we go. So there, I mean, there's a lot of things that could be played with. Basically, I found that like the sine wave for a little bit lower portion of the sound in frequency. Right about there. And yeah, the upper part of the frequency is square wave. Which gives you, different timbres depending on what frequency you use. But the thing about these modules is you could also change the wave shape. It's harder to hear that one since it's doing such higher frequencies. Oh, no. But anyway, once again, it's just similar to the Dalek voice where now I'm using a low frequency oscillator. So that's how you can hear the individual ripples in the sound, and it doesn't sound as much like an overall effect. I basically have one more thing to show. I might as well move on to that since this is a really simple sound. This will take me... This will require that I probably check to make sure it's hooked up right again. And this time I'll be sure to hook it up to the right output. I have here an experimental sound that I made just for the fun of it. Let me see, where is that? That is Dalek voice, no, experiment. How about that? Yeah, that would be it. Okay, so I'm pretty sure right now, did you hear anything there?
No,
Nope.
not yet.
Yeah, I got to do it. So we have to hook this up like this. Each time I change patches, it's weird. It even though the settings are set to the same interface, it kind of disconnects it. How about now?
Nothing yet.
That?
Nope.
Yeah, not yet.
All right. That's great. I'm going to go here to Pulse Audio and then M Series again. Just to make sure. All righty. All righty. Do you hear something now?
Yes. Okay, where'd it go?
Okay, well, I just stopped pressing the key. I stopped pressing the key, but what I also want to see here is okay, I need to get a voice through. Here we go. I have the player here playing this voice. And I'm not hearing it for some reason. Oh, that's right. All right. Okay. I came across this by mistake. Basically, I had at one point accidentally hooked up an output from the player here to the frequency input of an oscillator. So that's why you see this wave shape here just kind of vibrating a bit. That's because the output from this is going into it. Now I decided to put it into the FM input, which modulates frequency. And then here it's receiving note data from the MIDI input over here. So it's playing the notes from my keyboard, but whatever the note that is, it gets modulated frequency wise by this oscillator. I mean, not oscillator, but the recorder playback here. And then that all gets filtered here. And then here I just have a gate on so that when I press the key, you hear it. And when I release the key, you don't. Otherwise, you would hear this note sustained indefinitely. But I could basically play different notes. And I thought that might be useful for some, I don't know what genre you would call it, but. And it's kind of like creepy voice on the tone. This is similar to what a vocoder does, where the amplitude in that case of the voice is affecting the waveform of a carrier oscillator. So anyway, those are the things I guess that I made this week. In the future, I will make more things anytime we decide to do this. We have one more Mike Gourley video to show. But next week we have Rob Mador of Consider the Source, the drummer. No, PX3.
PX3 and mono means one.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, we were in touch with the drummer from Consider the Source, but that is something that's still yet to be arranged. He originally asked for this week, but since I had put everything up already, I was like, I can't change it at this point.
It was late notice.
Yeah, but
we'll get him eventually here.
Yeah, and okay, so
He ain't
next
got nothing else to do. Gabe's out of the country, and so is John.
Oh yeah, so the rest of the band's out of the country, huh?
Yeah, Gabe. I think he's in Turkey, I believe. He has a lot of friends over there. So, and John has been going down to Costa Rica for the last 3 January or Februarys, whatever. So him and his woman like to go to Costa Rica. I wish they'd put me in a suitcase and take me with them.
Yeah, you wouldn't be a third wheel at all. So here we go.
Mike could never be a third wheel. No.
Well, I mean, with Gabe and his, as he described it, his
not
woman.
Anyone. He's just so enjoyable as a person.
Hey, I'll sit out on the porch with the monkeys, no problem.
It's Mike.
Well, we're about to see Mike's morning ritual, so we'll be able to decide on that here. Here it is.
Hey guys, Mike Gourley's Chaotic Inception. It's out on Bandcamp now, man. You should get it. It's really great. You should also really have a great day, man, because you're really cool. So head on over to Bandcamp. Get Mike Gourley's Chaotic Inception today.
Do it, man.
Shameless plug.
Awesome. I love that shameless plug.
And now, the video.
Well, there's no shame if it's your music. All righty.
There was Eru, the one who in Arda was called Iluvatar.
Wow.
That's from the Silmarillion.
Far out.
Mike, you could score the Silmarillion if they made a movie.
Just knock on my door. Yeah, a buddy of mine gave me a couple links to, I guess, some people he knew that had made a buck or two on scores, but I went to the websites and it was like, looked to me like they wanted shit tons of money to even attempt. But it is what it is.
But
anyway,
they wanted you to pay to make a score.
Yeah, to submit.
Oh,
like you submit, and it was per song. So, like if you had a whole album or something, you know.
No.
Anyway, yeah, that's what I said. But
no,
anyway.
I mean, paying to be in a music library. Wow. Yeah, they're really taking advantage of artists now when you have to pay to be considered and to have your stuff in a library, because typically those libraries pay you at best, maybe they don't really pay you. A lot of times it's BMI or ASCAP who does.
Right, yeah, and God only knows what they're looking for. You know, some hippity skippity music. I don't know, but anyway. But this is this one only had a couple different tracks. The background is a Native Instruments plug-in. And then this one is not the Flute Wizard. This is a High Spirits bass flute. But if you remember Kyle talking about bass flutes, they're not easy to play. But High Spirits makes some that are easier than others to play. So this one is in key of D. But yeah, I love them, and he's right. People want them because they have that nice, beautiful, low, sound, which I prefer over the high-pitched sound. But of course, they're more money and they're harder to play. So
yeah, he recommended for people with small hands like me to go for large ocarinas. That's the only way we can get
one of his ocarinas.
Yeah, low sounds and small instruments.
Yeah, for such a small thing, it's kind of mine is kind of a mid-tone. He does make the bass ones, but I haven't seen one for sale yet. But I picked up, I think it's in B or B flat, but it's very nice sounding and nice to play. So you should definitely look into getting one.
Absolutely.
High Spirits.
Well, she's talking about Flute Wizard.
I'm talking about Flute Wizard ocarinas, but yeah.
High Spirits makes very good flutes too. There's several good flute makers out there. Kyle is very unique in what he does. There's nobody that does all the different scales that he does. High Spirits does mainly, A, B, C, D, E, and maybe an F sharp, but they don't do anything. And but you can still take it as I did in this song. I was going to point out I did this in a Spanish gypsy key. So usually people play, most of the flutes are typically designed for the beginner to play pentatonic scales.
Oh, okay.
But you can if you learn how to play other scales with them, which I did on this song. Because I don't want to play pentatonic all the time.
Right. It's very different. Like it's very difficult to get those notes, though.
Do what?
Having worked with pentatonic flutes before, it's very difficult to get a scale out of it. It takes someone with skill.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it all depends on the flute, too, but... Like High Spirits, they usually come, they're a 6-hole flute, they cover one of the holes. So you're automatically pretty much playing a pentatonic scale.
Alrighty. Well, folks.
Now, if you play them out of order, that'll fuck everything up. That's any instrument.
Yeah. All right, folks. Well, tonight, I guess it's a little bit of a short night. But look for more of things like this in the future as they make things. I'll try to, At least tonight was a learning experience. I figure I can use VCV Rack. I realized what I did wrong earlier, hooking up the wrong thing to the wrong thing. Yeah, so there'll be more things like this in the future. And next week is, yes, you said Rob Medor, drummer from
Commodore.
PX3 and Mono Means One. And we heard some of his contribution when Isaac Young was on a few weeks back. And this is an amazing drummer, folks. So
yeah, he kicks ass.
it'll be tough because of the Super Bowl. Now, this week ended up being a little bit tougher, too. I don't know why, but things be happening, I guess. So anyway, thank you for joining us. Eraserhead, Stitch, I saw there, Scott, and Jay Goodwin. And just so you know, Jay, you are here whenever you want to come on. I have your placeholder there.
You're in place, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
there he is.
Yeah.
There he is.
So anyway, he's just hidden. he's on injured reserve. So anyway, but we have more ideas about things that will be coming up in the future. We will return to probably the week after, unless something really amazing comes up. We probably will return to a film and score. And this time, I'm going to be going through it a little bit differently. I've come up with a different technique for doing slides. And I really want to do a film where it's electronic score, and I don't know, artists that I really want to talk about. So there's a few options. I don't want to pick one right now because I'm still
2010?
looking at it. 2010. Well, we will do that eventually, but yeah, Shire's score there for that was electronic, but it was not as cutting edge or as avant-garde. You know, the most avant-garde was really not him, it was Strauss.
True.
But his rendition of it. But yeah, we will probably do that at some point.
Yeah.
There
I'm
you
looking
go.
for something a little bit more cutting edge next time. Okay, folks, thank you for joining us. Everyone gets to go to bed earlier tonight.
Yay.
Anybody else want to announce something before we go? Like Liza, she's finished. Well, we pretty much almost finished up the garage, right?
Yep, almost done. And I will be filming a workshop tour video very soon.
Yay.
So stay tuned.
All right, sounds good. Yes, we now I just want to test this out. If there's any time I want to emphasize Mike, how do I do that? Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, but I mean, can I put him over
I've
here?
been emphasized.
Oh, look,
Yes.
I can move people to different positions. You can drag and drop.
Well, I'm
That's
getting
nice.
busy.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's enough of that, folks. We're gonna leave the stage and
Give you
say
an early
goodnight
evening.
now. And me as well.
8:56. We are now leaving the air.